Special announcement for DMV viewers. The Teacher is holding a community event in the Montgomery County, Maryland area. Great guest speakers, resources, vendors, and light refreshments will be present. Space is limited, so please RSVP ASAP. The EventBrite link is in the description below. We hope to see you there. Now, back to our regular programming. Welcome back. Today, we're going to discuss a taboo topic: experimentation. Experimenting with new teaching strategies is often frowned upon. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but because it is often believed teachers don't know how to do so. At least not effectively. Today, we are going to help with that. We are going to explore effective instructional strategy experimentation. Let's jump right into it. All right, so let's take a look at experimenting with new instructional strategies in education, this taboo topic, right? I know it's facetious, but experimenting with new strategies, we're going to look at the purpose, benefits and strategies, means of implementation, some examples. We're going to look at challenges to implementation as well as keys to remember. Okay, so what's the purpose of experimenting with these new strategies? It enhances student engagement and participation. You want to mix it up, that mundane teacher-led approach. It gets stale, even the I do, we do, you do, that gets stale after a while. You have to be able to mix it up, and you have to be able to look at different strategies. You're not going to know they work until you try them, right? You address diverse learning styles and needs. You can experiment with strategies based on learning style, based on learning needs, whatever. You can improve student achievement and critical thinking because you're mixing it up, because you're increasing engagement, you're addressing learning styles and needs. You can increase that student achievement as well as critical thinking, keep instruction relevant to a changing world, and encourage continued professional growth among educators. By opening the door to experimentation, you're allowing educators to grow. They're looking to grow because they know they have the opportunity to implement what they learn. Why should teachers try these new strategies or try new strategies? Education and technology is always evolving along with new research. So being on top of that, exploring new strategies and the research, you can begin implementing in the classroom. Students learn differently today than in previous generations, believe it or not. So some of the basics remain. However, the way that they learn may be different. Innovative strategies promote deeper learning. Okay, so it's not the teacher is the holder of all, information, and you're sitting at my feet waiting for me to, divulge this wonderful knowledge that I have. No. By switching up strategies, you can try more student-centered, project-based, makerspace. There's a gambit, right? You can also help close achievement gaps and encourages student curiosity and creativity. Look at the irony of this. If we prevent teachers from exploring and experimenting with new strategies, we are cutting off their curiosity and creativity. Thus, they are going to transfer that same mindset to their students. And then we wonder why students aren't as creative and aren't as curious about learning. Why? Because we cut it off at the top. So the modeling of exploration is cut off for students. How do they know how to be curious and creative when the people teaching them are cut off from being curious and creative? So experimenting with new strategies also models for students that curiosity and creativity. What are the benefits for students? Increased motivation and engagement, opportunities for personalized learning, development of collaboration and problem-solving skills, improved retention and understanding of content, and greater ownership of learning, right? Again, looking at benefits for teachers, instructional effectiveness as well as efficacy is increased, encourages reflective practices in teaching, builds professional confidence and adaptability, prevents instructional stagnation, this is key, and promotes collaboration with colleagues. You are organically, just by opening this door to experimentation, you are organically creating professional learning communities, because all of a sudden Ms. Jones's class is excelling, with this phonics concept. Mr. Smith wants to know how you're doing it. Oh, I tried this strategy, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Smith is now trying it and adjusting it for his student population, so forth and so on. So what are some instructional strategies you can experiment with? Project-based learning, you can check out our video on that. Flipped classroom model, we will be having a video on that. Gamification, we definitely have a video on that. Inquiry-based learning, collaborative group problem solving, and choice boards and differentiated instruction. Choice boards, you set up, some targeted learning options, and students get the ability, the autonomy to choose which direction they want to go in. You're still controlling the narrative, but now students feel like they have more ownership because they had a choice. So implementation strategies. Start small by testing one strategy at a time. Nobody is asking you to redo all your unit plans all at once and all this and all that. No. I take a simple lesson, I take a strategy that aligns with that lesson, and I'm going to try it out, right? I may only try it out with my first period class. And then once I fine tune it for my first period, now I redo it with my first period and my fourth period. And you build slowly, one strategy at a time. Just hypothetically think about it. What are we in school for? 10 months? If you did one strategy per month, now you have 10 strategies you can utilize going into the next year. Then I do the same thing. Boom, now I have 20 strategies, and it's a slow build. Use student feedback to refine instruction. Find out, as you're testing that small group, did you guys enjoy this? What could I do different? Collaborate with colleagues and professional learning community teams. Reflect on outcomes and adjust practices. That should be continual. And align strategies with learning objectives and standards, right? No particular order, but these are the things that you want to keep in mind when you're implementing a new strategy. Sample platforms by grade levels. So elementary, here's some Seesaw, ABC Mouse, Kahoot, Nearpod, Quizlet, Padlet, Flipgrid. High school, Google Classroom, and Canva. These are just some different platforms by grade level that you can utilize in order to try some new strategies. Examples of innovative activities. Let's say I'm tech-based, right? I can do interactive quizzes, virtual simulations, digital storytelling, online collaboration. You know what, Charles? We don't have one-on-one. I'm not a tech person. All right, let's look at some non-tech. Socratic seminars, learning stations, role-playing, problem-based challenges. You can keep it simple, or you can get fancy with your tech base, or you can do a hybrid of the two. Doesn't matter. Just start somewhere. Right? So what are some possible challenges? Fear of failure, time constraints. I don't have time for all this. Limited resources, resistance to change, right? So possible solutions, we pilot lessons. We talked about it, starting small, moving, and expanding. Time constraints, make it a mini lesson within the lesson. So all of a sudden, I don't have to worry about a time constraint because it's already embedded. Limited resources, use what you have. We talked about the tech base and non-tech base. Even if you don't have certain resources, there are still activities and strategies you can implement and experiment with that require limited resources. And resistance to change, focus on student growth. So you pilot these things, you have success, share that success, right? Because that's the hurdle that you overcome. You can overcome that hurdle of resistance to change by showing the growth. It works. You don't have some outside, entity. No, this works with our particular kids. I've seen it and I've done it. So keys to remember: innovation leads to growth in teaching and learning. Not every strategy will work perfectly the first time, and not every strategy will work perfectly with your population. You may have to adjust. Reflection and adjustments are essential, which aligns with the second one. Student engagement should guide instructional choices. If you're trying new strategies and the students still aren't engaged, that's where that feedback comes from. What could I do to make this, activity a little more engaging? What you'll usually find is just by mixing it up, the kids are going to get excited, but you don't want to mix it up to the point where you're using the same new strategies every time, if that makes sense, right? And then continuous experimentation improves instructional practice. We talked about it. By giving teachers the autonomy to experiment, by teachers taking the autonomy to experiment, not only are they increasing their instructional practice, but they're modeling for students, hey, take risks, jump outside the box, be creative, and you'll find that your critical thinking is improved as well amongst the students. So just some final reflections. Great educators are lifelong learners. So you should be learning new strategies, experimenting with new strategies, because you are the model for a lifelong learner, right? And then experimenting with new strategies allows teachers to evolve, inspire students, and create meaningful learning experiences. We hope you found that helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.